subject to the limitations of policy 206. All individual comments shall be less than 5 minutes. Any group of 5 or more persons must appoint one person to present the group's views to the board. Depending on the number of persons present, the school board chair reserves the right to set further time limits to allow participation within the allocated time. The board shall not allow negative comments in public session about individual employees or students. Specific factual information or recitation of existing policy may be furnished in response to inquiries, but the board shall not deliberate or decide regarding any issues that is not included on the agenda posted with the notice of the meeting. If there are more requests than time available, priority will be given to persons that reside within the Grand Rapids Big Fork School District. And tonight, I'm David Marty. I'm the clerk of the ISD 318 board. Our chair, Mark Schroeder, is not available this evening, so I will be chairing the board meeting in his absence. And Pat Mediri is attending remotely from Gulf Shores, Alabama. Hello, Pat. Thank you for joining us this evening. And with that, we have one speaker, Heidi Torsten. Would you like to address the board?
Sure, thanks. I guess I have a couple of things. Firstly, quickly, that the Big Fork Advisory Committee did meet last week. It was kind of an organizational meeting, getting parents and faculty as well as community members to be excited about how we're going to move forward, and we're really looking forward to that opportunity. I'll be involved in that as a community person. Thanks a lot to the district for helping us to tune in remotely for Matt's presentation on finances last week. It was great. A number of us were together watching it, video conferencing. In Matt's last comment that night, he hoped that District 318 would be a place that drew families to it. He said something like, I hope that if you have a 218 phone number that you want to and choose to live within District 318 because of the educational excellence. We talked about that comment, and certainly without question, Big Fork applauds that, and we also believe we'd like to have people come to Big Fork because of our education. Fortunately, in Big Fork, we have an incredible, talented, caring, and creative faculty. It's pretty impressive how there aren't any slackers in that group. Each and every one of our faculty are absolutely outstanding. And because of that, they can offer core curriculum to each and every kid in our school. The next layer in the quality education, of course, is your elective opportunities. Electives are something that's a much harder deal in Big Fork. Electives could be offered by integrating cooperation between all of the schools in the district, where specialty subjects like robotics that Big Fork excels in could be shared, and I don't think there even is robotics in Grand Rapids, that something like robotics could be shared with kids in Grand Rapids. And classes like, I believe you have a forestry class, would certainly be something the Big Fork kids would like to share in and be educated, but we don't have it. However, essential courses in the elective pool, like music and language, need to be taught across the district. Currently, I believe, as you know, there's no language in Big Fork. We tried an online Spanish thing that was a disaster. It never got up and running till kind of midway in the middle of the semester. Kids couldn't pick it up at that point. Everybody dropped out the second semester. It was a disaster. We need to go back to an in-school elective of language in Big Fork. There also is no music teacher in the whole K through 12 building because it was cut last year. That's unacceptable. We have no choir. We have no band. We don't even have core curriculum, music instructor. We have no music teacher in our building. And of course, we try really hard to keep good cooperation throughout the district, but it's really a bitter pill to swallow in Big Fork when we know that you guys have 10, maybe 11, I can't remember, full-time music teachers in the district and a world-class band, and we don't even have any music. Okay, so that's the vision, core curriculum and electives across District 318. So what's the financial reality? Matt at first said he had to cut $3 million this year, gasp. He now says 1.2 million in reduction, which is good and to be finalized by February 28th. I'll be honest, this terrifies Big Fork. We have nothing left to give. The upcoming budget discussions give the board a chance to look at the whole budget to correct what we see as mistakes from last year's cuts and reinstitute a language teacher and music teacher in Big Fork. So, how could that be funded? Matt also spoke a lot about the per student state funding. So I went to, the Department of Education website and got the scoop. So every high school student in Big Fork gets $19,671 that contributes to the district. Every Grand Rapids student gets $14,607. Wait a minute. How come there is this big disparity that Big Fork kids, each student gets from the state $5,000 more than the Grand Rapids kids? I think you guys are more well familiar with it, but I've rankled with it, the state funding formula. And as you know, the state funding formula was designated to provide an equitable education to every student in the state, and especially if you are a student in a rural or in a small school, varsity aid. This significant funding of $5,000 to kids in Big Fork was designed to level the playing field. The question is the state getting what they wanted when they funded $5,000 extra dollars? And is any of this $5,000 per student extra that the district receives really being spent for what it should be in Big Fork? Matt also said that the district can't afford to lose any more students. And again, talking about that per student money we get. By gutting Spanish, music, and other electives in Big Fork, it's a worry that District 318 is vulnerable to flight. Northholm, as you maybe do or don't know, already comes into our district with a bus to pick up some Big Fork kids that have chosen to go to Northholm instead of Big Fork. Because they think they have a better educational opportunity. If just 5 Big Fork high school kids choose to homeschool or go to Northholm, that's $10,000. 10 kids, that's a full-time faculty plus all the benefits. As you are working on the budget, please remember that $19,671 that the Big Fork kids each contribute to this district. And remember the intention of the state to level the playing field. I don't think District 318 can afford not to. Thank you. if you need any of this information, I mean, you guys can get it, but do you want
I love that.
where I got that?
Yeah, I love that.
Okay, thanks.
I do thank you for your comments and thank you for your participation in the Big Fork gathering group.
Yep.
Much appreciated. Thanks. Julie, do we have any other speakers?
We do not, just the one.
Perfect, thank you. With that in mind, Mr. Charity, would you like to present an indicator report?
Yes. Good evening. This is the Facility Department Indicator Report for 2023 and 2024. The team or people completing this report, it's Olivia and myself work together on putting this report together every year. It's the Maintenance Facility Department, which also includes the Custodian Department. And it's basically from February of last year to February of this year. The connection to the district mission statement, we provide a clean and sanitary, well-maintained buildings every day. We monitor the air, the water, the power, the parking lots, the roofs, everything. We maintain that every day. Now, we have our own mission statement of our own, and it's together through diligent cleaning and maintenance. We're protecting the health and well-being of the district. And people ask me, what do you mean by that? And what it means is not only are we taking care of the physical hazards that are out there every day, we're also taking care of the hazards that you don't see, the viruses, the flu, the COVIDs, all the different things that come up, the strep throats. I mean, these are the things that we're working against every single night with our group of custodians in all of our buildings. The number of students impacted, obviously, with us, we're one of the few, I've said this in the past, we have 970,000 square feet of buildings here. From inside to outside, we pretty much have our fingers into everything. Number of students, it's the same thing, everyone. And it really doesn't matter, well, the students do matter, but it doesn't matter if you're a student or not. Someone chuckled. It doesn't matter if you're a student or not a student, or you're a grandparent coming to the Rife, or an aunt or an uncle coming to a basketball game, a football game. Our staff is the ones there cleaning, maintaining, whether it's water, air, RPZs, filters, everything in your air handlers, indoor air quality, and mowing and everything. So when I wrote this here at the time, we did have 30 custodians, and then we have the 5 maintenance personnel, then Olivia and myself. We've since filled one of our maintenance positions, so we now have 3 carpenters, 1 plumber, 1 electrician, and 1 groundskeeper. Budgeting and staffing, our equipment's getting old, and we need to find a way to increase those budgets for equipment replacement. One of the things that I'm doing is I'm going down to the Capitol on March 5th. We get LTFM dollars to maintain our buildings, but we don't get LTFM dollars to buy equipment that is used to maintain. Tools, trucks, salters, you name it. These are the things that we need, mowers, things like that. But we can't buy those stuff with LTFM dollars. So I'm going down there on March 5th to meet with some of our legislators to discuss this with them, that the expectation is that we're maintaining things, but we also need the tools and the equipment to do the job. There was one of the first times plowing this year, there was 2 incidents where we had some breakdowns. Our crew got to the West Elementary kind of late. A lot of questions were coming up. Why didn't you start sooner? Where were you? The reality is it's really hard when you have 2 vehicles that are broke down. One of the things that I've talked about in the past is Olivia, and it's been whoever's been this administrative position. She's a 37-hour-a-week employee, but in the summertime, she goes down to 35 hours a week. And the summertime is when we hire additional staff, student workers for summer and mowing, painting, and we take on more people, we have more time cards, and then with all the construction projects, our workload actually increases, but we're actually cutting her hours down to 35 hours from 37. So to me, it's just, we're asking someone to do more with less time. We also have people in our department that start at 6 a.m. and others that leave at 11 p.m. And we have staff in the buildings on Saturdays as well. And that's one of the things with Olivia and I. We both don't look at our positions as positions that But when the 8 hours is done, we're out of here, right? Because we are still providing support to a lot of people that are still in buildings, including weekends. And my recommendation is that we change this position to a 40-hour-a-week position. Indicators of success, we're working with ICS and a bunch of other contractors to complete multiple projects throughout the district. Obviously this one, the Grand Rapids High School project, and then the Big Fork project as well. Now, I must have corrected that. I'm sorry, I must have corrected that because I did see I had a little mistake on there originally, but we've completed 2,318 work orders from January of last year to December of last year. The one I had 12/1 of 24, so I'm glad that got changed before I gave it all to you. Obviously, we talked about changing Olivia's position to a 40-hour per week position, but with paying unemployment to our 10-month custodians at our grade schools, one of the things that I would like to see is over at East and West, we use East Rapids all summer long, almost the same way as we do during the school year. And we reduced their evening custodians down to 10 months. So now we have 2 people on a 106,000 square foot building, and we're asking them to work 4 10s. That way they have time to get in before the students and staff come in the morning, and then stay a little bit late after those people leave. But then there's nobody there on Fridays, and there's no programs on Fridays, but we don't have staff there either. So now we're sending our maintenance department over to those buildings to do boiler checks, because the boilers do run all summer as part of the dehumidification process. Actually, I'm going to back up on that one too. One other one is we have a 6-hour per night custodian up in Big Fork. And about 2018, 19, somewhere in there, I had asked for that position to be changed to year-round. And the reason is if we take 6 people from Grand Rapids, load up trucks, send 3 trucks to Big Fork, basically it's hour and a half of their time before they even get up there, and they haven't even unloaded yet. Then they have to unload, mow, and then do the process again. So every time we go up there, if we send a crew of 6, we spend about 24 hours either in the truck or loading and unloading equipment. And by switching the 6-hour position to be year-round, I think we would actually start saving money, because we wouldn't be paying that person unemployment either. We would have less people that we could hire here in Grand Rapids for the summer, because we wouldn't need such a large crew, because we're not going up there at least 1 day a week. And when it is wet, we have to go out there and mow that field twice in a week. And obviously on those times we might only send 2 or 4 people up there, but there's still a lot of time that we're losing every time when we go up there. So I have this brief narrative attached here with finished projects and work orders and the health and safety stuff, so we can go over some of that now as well. So the first one you should have had in your packet, it's labeled February 2024, and it's basically just a kind of introduction of everything that we do. And then I have all of our school dues written out on here, and the different number of school dues we did basically in the last 3 years. Some of them are pretty interesting, because if you look at like the Grand Rapids Senior High, there's very little fluctuation. Then you look into some of these other schools and they have more. And it's kind of fun to take, keep track of all these and see what's going on in all of our different buildings, and, see if there's things that are significantly changing and why are they changing. Yeah, and if you look at like food and nutrition, they've been pretty consistent the last 3 years. The next page is projects completed or near completion. We've all talked about the admin building. Hopefully we can get the admin building sold and get that off of our books, because we are still keeping it probably around high 50s, low 60s in there. We're still, have water that's running. We're still doing boiler checks. We're still in there. And right now it would be nice if we could just get rid of that building and get it off of our books. If you look at Grand Rapids Senior High, one of the things that we did in conjunction with the indoor air quality project is we replaced a lot of hollow metal doors, and we did a new roof over there as well. We replaced some concrete stoops, and part of that is if you do a big mechanical project like what we did over there, it doesn't make a lot of sense to have leaky windows and doors and roofs that are leaking and letting in all the elements from the outside when we're doing this huge indoor air quality project. So proposed for 2024-25 at the Grand Rapids High School, I'm getting estimates together on some new elevators. I would like to get those things squared away because they're about 25 years old. We spend a lot of money on just dealing with those things. They're broke down a lot. They're a life safety issue. We can't have a student up on the 6th floor library in an elevator that's not working. I mean, we can't have that. And then finish the second phase of the big indoor air quality project. For the middle school, we did a lot of roof leaks repair this last year. That one over there, it seems like every couple of days we were getting school dudes for roof leaks, window leaks, things like that. We did replace the lights in the parking lot with new LED ones. And then one of the projects that was supposed to take place a while back was sanding down that old gym floor. You're supposed to do it about every 12 years. We haven't done it yet. So we actually finished that this year. We sanded it all the way down to the wood and then repainted it as well. And then proposed for next year, I would like to do some major exterior work, roofing, tuck pointing, caulking, fixing up the windowsills. And then I am working with Ann on the Safe Road to School plan. Big Fork, they had an issue where water was constantly coming into the pit of the Edge Center. We finally got that squared away. We got it waterproof from the inside, and we're keeping all the water out. And everybody knows about the fitness center. But we also did put some new front doors on there this year because the doors up in Big Fork, a lot of them are metal and rusted away. So one of the things that I want to do up there next year is to put new vestibules on. It'd be the north and south end of the elementary wing. I mean, if you look at the frames, they're rusted up 6 inches from the ground, and it's just time, you know, it's from the salt and the number of kids going through and stepping on those thresholds every day. They just need to be replaced. Obviously, the desk building here, everyone knows about the renovation that we did here. At some point, I would like to upgrade the heating plant, but obviously that's going to be down the road. Cohasset, we did some playground maintenance, but that's, you know, not much. That building has been really good. And then on my building, you'll see we replaced the heat exchangers on all 4 boilers. Well, it was kind of interesting. We had one go down, and a few weeks later, another one went down. And then again, and it was like, what's going on here? Well, we started looking at how long the actual heat exchangers in those boilers are meant to last. It's like 10 to 12 years. Well, we're right at 10 to 12 years with that building. I think it was built in 2011. So here, all 4 of them went down within, I don't know, 6 weeks of one another. And that's the kind of stuff that I'm going to talk about a little bit later. I mean, this is the kind of things that we have to look at all the time. Things only last so long. And then this is going to kind of segue into the east and west replacing of the drinking fountains. You know, you might say, why did you do that? Well, these drinking fountains are manufactured by Acorn. I never heard of an Acorn brand before, and I'm a plumber. And when I saw it, I questioned it, but that was written in the plans and spec. And those drinking fountains at those buildings leaked from day one. And JK was really great with us on coming out and getting them replaced because they were still under warranty. They replaced them multiple times. And we just got to the point where eventually they ran out of warranty. And then finally, after some conversations with Carol and me, we decided, let's get these things out of here. Let's replace them with something that actually is going to work and not just leak water all day and all night long. The next page here, it's the health and safety stuff. These are all the things that we work with IEA on. Everything that's in a bullet point here is kept in my office in a 3-ring binder. And if anyone has any questions on any of the things in there, feel free to call, text, email, let me know, and I'll get you the information that you need. But everything is in a 3-ring binder in my office. And the last is a list of custodial staff. Basically, it's a list of the building and the hours that those custodians work in that building. I gotta clean it. The last thing that I wanted to talk about real quick, sorry about that, was the meeting that was held here last week, Monday. I was watching and listening to it, and I know there's a lot of conversations that are taking place about things that the district can do to save money. Well, those conversations are really great. There are just a few pieces where there's things that we're doing, and we're doing them for a reason. One of the things that I've heard is like roll towel dispensers. Why don't we use more roll towel? Because it's cheaper. Well, in some of these single bathrooms, the roll towel dispensers actually stick out from the wall about 9.5 inches, and they encroach into the ADA clearances, making them non-ADA compliant. Same thing with toilet paper dispensers. The round wagon wheels hold 4 rolls, where the ones in our bathrooms that you'll see right here only hold 2, and that's because a wagon wheel doesn't meet ADA compliancy. So there's things that we're doing, and we're doing them very specifically because we're following rules, codes, different things like that. And I know I've been a huge advocate of getting the Big Fork boilers switched over to propane since about 2019, but a lot of people look at the dollar per gallon difference, like it's about a 70 cents per gallon difference between propane and fuel oil. The reality is the more important conversation is fuel oil produces about 140,000 BTUs per gallon, where propane only produces about 91,000 BTUs per gallon. So the 7,500 gallons that we bought for Big Fork last month was 19,000 and change. It's not like we could have bought 7,500 gallons of propane at 70 cents a gallon cheaper and said, look at all the money that we saved. And then the other piece of that conversation, we've had several meetings up there with different groups and contractors and things like that, as far as what's our buyback? Do we want to stick a bunch of money into a PVI? It's a PVI boiler that they made for 2 years and realize that they're more of a hot water company and not a steam company. Those parts that come off that PVI come off of eBay. They don't even manufacture them anymore. Do we want to stick 50 grand into that one and then 50 grand in a Kiwani that's 60 years old? What's your buyback, right? 15, 18 years. So if we do something and all of a sudden we got to spend another 40 grand into something, did we really save any money if we didn't get our buyback? So the conversations that I'm having with not only our maintenance department, but also some contractors, someone from the gas company, is there are these opportunities right now to get some money. It's 50 grand. It'll be available in March. It's through the state of Minnesota for upgrades on heating systems, efficiencies, indoor air quality. And we are working with that to see if we can get that money. But traditionally, what you would do is your mechanical room and your boiler room is where all your expenses are. And the cheaper you get away from there, your expenses basically come down. So the conversations that we're having right now is, if we can get this money and a little bit more, maybe we go backwards. We start out here and create our efficiencies out here, and eventually maybe in 2025, 2026, we can get rid of those old steam boilers because they're inefficient and go with some high efficiency condensing boilers. So instead of doing the project from the inside out, we do it from the outside in. So there's a lot of conversation that needs to be had prior to just saying, well, just make a switch and we're going to start saving money. That's not really how that works. And it's kind of like, I heard a comment about that chiller at the middle school last week. Same situation we're in. Do we want to go and spend a bunch of money on 2 compressors that are 20 years old? We got 4 other ones in there running on R22, which is inefficient, wrecks the ozone layer. And we really should be transitioning into like the 410A gas. And by doing what we did, we actually saved all the old R22, which is $1,150 for a 30-gallon cylinder right now. We have about $20,000 worth of R22 gas that we saved. So in the event that we have other situations, rooftop units where we need the R22, we're not buying it, we already have it. So there will be situations where it might make more sense to make a repair on an older unit. But that unit that we had up there at the middle school, I can assure you that all came out of LTFM. No one lost a position over it. You know, there was no situation where Dan Adams said, well, I can let these 2 people go because I need air conditioning. That didn't happen. You know, everything was done through the LTFM money, and that was the best decision that we made for the district long term. So if there's other things where you see projects or have questions, by all means, stop by anytime, call, text, email, and I can, the ADA compliancy one, that's a real simple one that I don't think a lot of people understand. So if there's something that you see and you want to ask, by all means, give me a call.
Darren, thank you. It was a very thorough report, and the board is in receipt of your written report. Thank you very much for that. Any questions or comments or notes for Matt?
Yeah, I would just note when Darren's going through things like the decisions he's talking about, he's not sitting in his office by himself, trying to figure that all by himself. He's good about getting feedback, whether that's from Kara and I, kind of on an organizational side, or doing research and using the resources he has to make wise and good decisions. We don't make those decisions in a vacuum. And so Darren's really good about that.
Excellent. Thank you. Any other notes or comments for Darren?
Are you going to talk about this?
No, that's in the,
Or
In the meeting, we will, yeah.
Okay.
Is that the safe routes to
Yes.
school thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm working with Ann on that right now.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, Pat Maduri has his hand raised.
Pat?
Darren, thank you for the report. Appreciate it. My question is you talked about going down to legislature. I think you said next Monday to talk about LTFM. I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're looking for a legislative change in language so that it expands it out to be able to spend LTFM on equipment?
Correct. I'm a member of a MASMUS organization, and there's multiple people from our area that are gonna go down there and have conversations with our legislators. And that's one of the topics that I would like to discuss is getting funding through the LTFM to also not just maintain, say, the grass, but also the equipment that we're using to maintain the grass, whether it's a mower, a plow truck, or whatever.
Mr. Chair, Darren, again, if you have some bullet points on what it is that you're looking at, if you could get it to us board members, that'd be greatly appreciated. We visit with other legislators all the time, and it's something I'll bring forward to our RAMS group as well. See if we can get it on our legislative priority as well.
Yeah, so the MASMUS organization already has all of our talking points pre-established, so I can just get that to you.
Perfect. Thank you.
That'd be great. Good note, Pat. Thank you. We're wrapping up on our available time. Darren, again, thank you for a very thorough report. A lot of good information. Much appreciated.
All right, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you. And we'll adjourn the board special session and take a short break, and we'll reconvene for the board meeting. About a minute. Can we go ahead, Julie?
And I'll start the report.
Okay. Our board meeting for February 12th will come to order, and we'll begin with Pledge of Allegiance. It's here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America, to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. As noted, Mark Schroeder is not here today, and Melissa Barr is excused by prior arrangement. We have the agenda before us. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Moved Mindy, second Pat. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The agenda is approved. And on to School Board Recognition Month. Matt?
Yeah, during the course of the year, there are a variety of weeks and months for recognizing a variety of groups, employees. February is School Board Recognition Month, and so I wanted to take the time and thank you for your service to the community, to the children that our district serves. It's a big commitment, I know, in time and effort and time away from family, and it's not an easy job, so I appreciate the service to our community. There's a video that MSBA put together that I think is really good, and hoping we can make that happen tonight.
Thank you.
It's been just the honor of a lifetime to be in a position where you can advocate for each and every student in your community, but then build relationships with parents and caregivers and the staff in the schools and the leaders at the district office. it's truly been an amazing experience that I'm grateful for.
I would say our school board, when I think about how we help students, and I've just started my 21st year on the school board. So I think about over the years how we support and help, and I think it's a lot of ways. I think we create a safe environment to help students have a space that's safe to not only learn, but to connect with other students, staff.
The school board is critical. I've been doing this job for 2.5 years, but I've been working in education for decades. I didn't fully realize how essential the board's role is.
I think it's just crucial that we give students skills, the tools they need to be successful and to build strong communities and a strong country.
Well, that's the key for a good board, is to remember why you're part of a board, and to make sure that some of the noise that's happening in the world doesn't negatively impact what we're offering our students.
Serving all students, making sure we have opportunities for students who come in at all different levels, whether they have special education needs, whether they're gifted, whether they're new to the country, whether they've been in our community their whole lives.
Our republic will only go as far as our public education system goes. So that's what I get up for every day, is to make our little corner of the world a little bit better for our democracy and through our service through public schools.
I'm proud of the fact that we have valued our students to the degree where we have developed a student school board that we're able to hear directly from the students and to allow them to see the value of their voices and to realize that what they say can make a difference.
Always advocate for your kids. They are our future, and the work that we do now is going to pay dividends later.
Very nice. Thank you. And I would add my voice of appreciation to.
Once everything's perfectly organized, I'll start work.
It's a major commitment, and I extend that appreciation to our student board member as well. Thank you all. With that, our next agenda item is safe and welcoming learning environment. We have a principal report from Andy Forbort from the Area Learning Center. Andy.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. Thank you again for all you do for our district. Happy Appreciation Month. I'm here to give an update on the ALC. Feels like it was quite a while ago we were here talking about the transition, and now we're months into the transition and things are going very well. Staff have adjusted well to this space. I think the students are enjoying it very much. I spoke to a few just last week because I was over here studying, and they really appreciate the space and the building and what's been done. Being is that we are now in a district building, I think the staff definitely feels supported by buildings and grounds, maintenance, response time versus relying on the situation we were in past years with the leased building. So I really appreciate the support from technology, buildings and grounds, and custodial staff. This fall, first semester, we've got 20 to 25 students each day attending the ALC. We do have 5 students currently attending part-time at the high school, doing some career pathways work, and then coming over here for the support they need with our other classes. As I mentioned in my last report, we moved our super senior program to Mondays versus Fridays. That's going really well. I listed the partnerships that we continue to embrace as the ALC. And then a summer school update for you. Looking with Casey right now to hopefully get positions posted. 4 positions for the 4 core areas: English, Math, Social, and Science. We are looking at June 11th to August 1st to be our summer school dates, being as we have to go all 12 months in order to be an ALC. So we'll get into August there at the tail end. Some celebrations I put down in my report. We've had 7 super seniors graduate from that Monday program that missed their normal or scheduled graduation. 5 which are from ISD 318. We've had 12 ISD 318 students from the class of 2024 already meet the graduation requirements. 1 of those students being from Big Fort, 2 graduates from Greenway, and 1 graduate from Hill City. I put down some upcoming events happenings. We had 4 staff members attend the annual Minnesota Alternative Programs Conference last week, Wednesday through Friday in Mankato. And then on the agenda tonight, we have one of our staff members who will be retiring. So I want to recognize Mr. Dan Elhard for all his years of service as a teacher at Grand Rapids High School, the ALC, the coach, and just wish him the best as he pursues his future endeavors. Brief, quick update. Questions you have for me?
Thank you. And any notes or comments or questions for Mr. Forward?
How was the counseling working out?
So we have a counselor slash social worker hired at the ALC, and she wears many different hats, from coordinating to testing to doing our enrollment meetings and to providing daily support services for students. So, yep.
Thank you. Any other questions or notes for Andy? Much appreciated. Good update. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a great evening.
Under effective and efficient systems, we have a new ICS senior project manager for ISD 318. Nathan Norton is replacing Sean Lewis. Nathan, welcome.
Yeah. Welcome. Nice to meet you. Some of you I already knew, and I didn't know there was going to be a camera. I was prepared. But yeah, so many of you know Sean Lewis. He was the project manager that was working with you guys for the last few years. He's moved on. Wish him the best of luck. He was a great guy. We're still going to be pretty close. So he's a good guy. So again, Nathan Norton, project manager. I'm going to give a brief update. What I want, there's not, we're kind of in limbo land right now between the high school with phase 2 starting in the summer, phase 1 being complete, with Southwest and Big Fork wrapping up. So there's not a ton to update on, but I did want to get in front of you guys just to introduce myself. So a couple of the updates. On the first, the steering committee met. I was there. We talked about the project, went over the budget, went over the schedule. No changes at this time. I walked through last week with Darren and the site superintendents of the high school. We did a thorough walked through the completion portion of phase 1, walked through phase 2, and started strategizing about what construction is going to look like coming summer for phase 2. Discussed a couple punch list items from phase 1, which there's only 3 open items right now. They're like labeling and some control issues. Southwest, there's a couple punch list items too that they're working on, and then some commissioning items that's as far as controls. Big Fork, same thing. There's some commissioning items to work through over there, and then there was a recent request on exploring an option for some added outlets at the concession stand. So we're working up some documents right now to get some pricing and see if that's something you guys want to pursue. But by and large, just here to introduce myself. So that's pretty much it. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, so what's Brandon Miller's role relative to Southwest and Big Fork? Is he kind of the point person and you're kind of on the high school, or how does that work? Sorry, I missed the Thursday meeting.
Yeah, so yeah, Brandon Miller is a project engineer. He's going to help push through those final punch lists and closeout items. He's a little bit a newer individual, so he's really closing out a task, taking care of that task, closing it out. I'm overseeing to make sure that he is actually completing those tasks, and then overseeing the project, your district as a whole.
Gotcha. Okay.
Any other notes or comments or questions for Nathan?
Mr. Chair,
yes,
Nathan, who's going to be attending our facilities meeting then? Is it you or is it Mr. Miller?
Is that in Big Fork? Or
the one that you were
the steering committee?
Yeah, the steering committee.
The steering committee will be myself.
Okay, thank you.
Nathan, thank you. Welcome. Appreciate having you here. And if you talk to Sean Lewis, he will remind you that I will have the same question every time I see you. Are we on time and on budget?
Yeah, so I looked at it before we came here. We're in limbo land, so no changes, but I did actually, I'm in the process of doing a deeper dive with the budget to make sure I'm fully understanding it. Karen and I have done it a couple times, and going through any questions I have, she's been wonderful to answer them immediately. She knows way too much. She knows everything about the budget. And Darren was a wealth of knowledge too on our walkthrough too. So any questions I had that may have been with the handout, Darren was able to answer. So
good.
We're in really good hands.
Thank you. Welcome. Glad to have you on board.
Yeah, likewise, glad to be here.
We have approval of meeting minutes for January 22nd. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion from Pat and a second from Ben. All in favor of approving the minutes from January 22nd signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The minutes for January 22nd are approved. We also have minutes from the special meeting of February 5th, which are attached. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion from Ben and a second from Mindy. Any notes or questions, comments? All in favor of approving the minutes from February 5th signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The minutes of the special meeting from February 5th stand approved. We have claims of $6,189,828 and change.
So moved.
A motion to approve from Ben, a second. A second from Mindy. Any questions, notes, comments, thoughts? Hearing none, all in favor signify approval by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The claims for January of 2024 stand approved. We have a consent agenda. Casey, you got a list today.
I do, thank you. Good evening, board. Tonight we have Jorge Badia, ESP replacement hire. Eric Blair, middle school softball coach replacement hire. Teresa Dewey, head golf coach resignation. Danielle Elhard, teacher retirement. Dan has served the district for 34 years. Linda Ellis, teacher retirement. Linda has served for 8 years. Gretchen Heine, volleyball coach resignation. Amber Jones-Zurich, ESP replacement hire. Eric Walken, custodian replacement hire. Susan Martinetto, ESP retirement. Sue has served in the district for 15 years. Penny Miller, food and nutrition replacement hire. And Lisa Ross-Heen, teacher retirement. Lisa has served for 32 years. I'm recommending approval of the consent agenda with appreciation of those 4 retirees.
So
There
moved.
is discussion. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
A motion by Pat and a second. Second by Mindy. No discussion. All in favor of approving the consent agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The consent agenda is approved with this note of thanks and appreciation, especially to Dan Elhart for 34 years and to Lisa Ross-Heen for 32 years. A lot of service and much appreciated from all of these employees, but especially those two. Thank you. Casey, the position reduction from payroll and benefits.
Yeah, so before you, you have an involuntary position reduction for the payroll and benefits director. This would take effect June 30th of 2024. This one, just with that unit, requires a little bit more notice, so you're seeing it before the rest of those staffing changes come in March. Again, the position will be paid as a 1.0 through June 30th, and budget constraints and some department restructuring are the reason for the reduction. Recommending approval of the reduction of the payroll and benefits director position.
Motion for the position reduction.
So moved.
By Ben. The second.
Second.
Second, Pat. Any questions or comments for Casey concerning this position? I think she laid it out fairly clearly. If not, all in favor of the position reduction effective January 30th signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The position reduction is approved. Thank you. Casey, thank you for that report.
Thank you.
We have a proposal to share business services, ISD 319 and 318. Matt?
This is part of the restructuring that we began talking about a while back. We were approached by both the Itasca Area Schools Collaborative as well as Nashwauk-Keewatin to assume their business duties and responsibilities. Last meeting, the board approved the agreement with IASC. This is a similar agreement except with ISD 319 and Nashwauk-Keewatin. Staff have been doing some of these duties or all these duties on a time and materials type basis up until now. And so this formalizes that arrangement. It should be noted that there's a termination component of this where should Nashwauk or our school district choose to want to discontinue the contract, we have an obligation to notify each other 6 months before the expiration of the agreement. So that gives us some runway to make the changes we would need to make. The positions we're talking about, one last meeting and one that'll be the next time. These positions are really contingent on these contracts being in place. That's what's funding the contracts. And so we wanted to make sure to have some protection there. Again, the goal, two goals really with us entering into these arrangements are to improve our budgetary situation as well as serve our own employees better by segregating duties. It has been, and will be challenging in the interim. Both Casey and Kara are having to, remap out duties in their respective departments and live in 3 different worlds. And so I appreciate them being willing to take that on for the benefit of the school district. I'd recommend approval.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the shared business services agreement?
So moved.
So moved.
Mindy, and a second by Pat?
Yes.
Thank you. Any notes or comments?
I should mention, Mr. Chair, that the agreement is being considered by the school board of MK tonight. Right there. They approved it. Okay, so it was on their agenda tonight. It's good to know. So
Ours is the last
yep.
Last birthday
With the
fall.
last day.
All right. With that, all in favor of the shared business service agreement with Nashwauk signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The shared business service agreement stands approved. Thank you. Then, as Matt referenced earlier, we have we need to post benefits coordinator position. Casey?
Thank you. Before you, you have a request to post a benefits coordinator position. This is part of the restructuring we talked about and that reduction that you just approved in the payroll and benefits director. This restructuring includes moving the payroll and benefits departments under human resources and then separating out those payroll and benefit positions so that they will be one payroll position and one benefits position. This is the last change that's anticipated for the board to see as part of the restructure. The position will cost annually between $65,000 and $100,000 depending on the step election and benefits, and it's a reduction of between $17,000 and $28,000 from the director position that was just reduced. I'm recommending approval of the permission to post a benefits coordinator.
Do we have a motion to post the position?
So moved.
Motion by Pat, second. Second by Mindy. Questions, comments, notes, or thoughts regarding this coordinator position? As noted, it will be a net financial gain for us, which is a good thing right now. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. We have Establish permission to post the benefits coordinator position. Casey, thank you very much. Moving along, the memorandum of understanding with bus drivers unit regarding earned, safe, and sick time for 2023 to 2025. Casey?
Before you, you have the last of the earned sick and safe time MOUs, so that's exciting. The 8th unit is now complete. This MOU is identical to the ones you've seen with all the other units. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but the earned sick and safe time law took effect January 1st, and this MOU will put us into compliance with the new relationships and usage for the sick leave for our bus drivers. There is no change in accrual for our current bus drivers, but there is that new requirement of tracking leave time for our substitutes and casual employees. I'm recommending approval of the MOU.
Is there a motion to approve the MOU?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
It just dawned on me as a substitute bus driver, I think I have a conflict with these two next things on the agenda. And if I abstain, I don't believe we're going to have enough board members to actually approve these.
I think establishing that you have a potential conflict of interest as a board, we acknowledge that potential conflict and accept your participation in this discussion. If that's okay.
Thank
you. I do need a motion.
So moved.
So moved by Mindy, and a second.
Second.
By Ben. Any additional notes or comments on the MOU? As Casey has noted, it puts us in compliance with state law, which is a good thing. Hearing no comments, all in favor of the memorandum of understanding signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The MOU stands approved as presented. And as noted, we have also an extracurricular driving agenda. Casey, can you address that, please?
Yes, so before you, you have again, with our bus driver unit, there's an extracurricular driver addendum just for the remainder of this school year going through May 30th. Currently, our contract does allow us to hire extracurricular drivers. We have not done that in a number of years or had them exclusively drive extracurricular trips and not be route drivers. We don't have a lot of language around any benefits or what the terms of the employment would be. So this addendum just provides some information on the rights of those drivers if hired. So these drivers would be used in emergencies. The goal here is to reduce the costs of hiring out contractors to drive bus trips or using non-unit members. They would not be eligible for seniority or longevity or any paid time off other than required in law. They'd be paid the same as our other licensed commercial drivers. And again, this would be revisited prior to next year. It's just for the remainder of this year. I'm recommending approval of the addendum for extracurricular drivers with the bus drivers.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the extracurricular addendum?
So moved.
So moved by Ben and a second by Mindy.
Second.
Any thoughts or concerns? This has been reviewed by the unit.
It has. It's been approved by the unit.
And any other notes or comments? Hearing none, all in favor of the extracurricular drivers addendum signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The extracurricular drivers addendum stands approved. Thank you. Casey, you're not done.
One more.
A memorandum of understanding with Education Minnesota 1314 regarding sick leave bank.
Yes, so we recently found out that during negotiations, we had an item on the table around the sick leave bank, and there was some It was unclear what we had agreed to. You guys all remember we settled our contracts kind of quickly, trying to get those insurance changes prior to the start of the year. So we ended up coming back with a small subset of the unit and district negotiating team to work through the sick leave bank proposed changes. Where we landed as far as changes would be the unit could allow any certified member to be a part of the bank. Previously, they did have to be a union member. We revised the dates of replenishment because the current dates were not feasible in many cases based on the withdrawal deadlines. And then we did add some clarification on new hires and on what would happen if people did not have a sick date to give to the bank when the replenishment was needed. And then we established some parameters around the unit and the district meeting in the fall to develop the participant list, the balance, and the replenishment threshold. This MOU would go through June 30th, 2025 for the remainder of the contract, with hopes that then it would get rolled into the contract at that time. I'm recommending approval of the sick leave bank MOU with the teaching unit.
Motion to approve the MOU on sick leave. Pat, and the second?
Second.
Second by Mindy. Any questions or comments? This has been reviewed extensively. Hearing no comments, all in favor of approving this additional MOU signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The memorandum with Education Minnesota for the sick leave bank stands approved. Thank you. Then we have a resolution on safe routes to school improvement grant application. And we also have a concept the board members have that was distributed earlier. Anne, can you speak to this?
Yes, thank you for having me tonight. I'm Ann Campbell. I'm the Safe Routes to School coordinator. And just so people are really clear about this, this position is funded solely by MnDOT, Safe Routes to Schools. There's no cost to the district in this position, and I run under community ed. This grant has been a 3-year grant. I think extra year because of COVID. It runs out at the end of June, and we are in the process of reapplying for the next cycle for a Safe Routes to School coordinator. And we include 318, 319, and we're also looking at adding Greenway and Deer River to the coordinator position. Okay, so the middle school parking lot, everybody's been there. It's been an ongoing congested area for many years. Through Safe Routes to School, we are able to apply for an infrastructure grant to help improve the traffic flow for drop-off and pickup lines. And most of all, and most importantly, to create safer routes for our students that are coming into the building and leaving the building. WITSEC engineers developed the concept and the improvements along, working with them was also myself, Superintendent Gross, Darren Cherney, Buildings and Ground Director, Greg Olson, Transportation Director, and many others along the way, principals and some paras that actually are outside maintaining that. The project costs approximately $554,000, with the grant covering 85% of it, and 318 would cover the 15% left over. These MnDOT grants cover construction costs, but not engineering costs. We've worked with the city of Grand Rapids, and we have their support and their resolution for this project. And now I'm here tonight looking for your support and resolution for the project. Mr. Gross, do you have any more comments about this project we've been working on? And we do have a map attached for you to look at.
I'd say that this is an issue that's been studied a lot. We've gotten feedback from, like Ann said, the paraprofessionals that are working that area, I know some of you have sat out there and watched it. We hear from parents about it. We have had lots of close calls. The goal of this, and if you look at how new schools are designed, including the new elementaries, the goal is to keep bus traffic and parent traffic apart. And this largely accomplishes that given the constraints of the original design. Also, a constraint is that we use that parking on the left-hand side of your picture for the transportation hub. So we have lots of buses that are there. If it was just the buses that transported kids to and from our gyms, it would be one thing, but it's much more than that. This would also reduce the number of staff that we need to monitor the coming and going in the morning and the afternoon, because there's less conflict points. So currently, you know, if you are there, you can see that we have to have someone up on the top on the far left. We have to have someone kind of in the middle stopping buses as they come down the hill. We have to have 3 or 4 people along the bottom. It would just reduce that, which not only reduces costs for us, but it also is a challenge to fill those positions with ESPs. And when they're gone, it's challenging to get somebody trained to step in, that type of thing. There's still some tweaks that can be made. You know, one of the things that Ben and I were just chatting about is that Ridgewood Road that runs east and west, and traffic coming in and out of there, whether that should be a one-way coming in or not a one-way coming in. That's something that could change as we study this some more and that kind of thing. But that lion's share, that biggest part in the middle is what would happen. So essentially, if you were a parent coming to drop your kid off from the south, you would need to leave the south. And if you were a parent coming in to drop your kid off from the north, you'd have to exit on the north. There really wouldn't be a way for you to cross over. Buses would be the only vehicles allowed to drive through the entrance. There's a lot going on. I mean, this is probably, it's probably not an over-exaggeration to say this is probably the 20th concept drawing.
And what I really like about it too, the sidewalks would be 6 feet wide going around, so there'd be plenty of room for students to get out of the car, walk the sidewalk, come across on the designated crosswalk.
Right.
So I'm looking for a motion before we get into discussion to approve the grant application.
So moved.
Motion from Mindy and a second from Ben. Second from Pat.
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded. Discussion. Pat, I'm sorry, Ben.
Where do you take the buses that go from the high school? Where do they go?
Well, the buses currently, I believe, come in right, and they cut across right in front of our gym school.
Yeah.
So they would have to be rerouted on, I don't know,
7th.
7th Street. Yeah, we did talk about that. We'd have to
So-
reroute them. To come down,
All-
up and
all-
then come down the hill.
All that traffic, all the buses would have to come through the neighborhood instead of going up Ridgewood Road and then through the property.
The ones coming from the high school. The ones coming from the high school.
Yeah.
Or they'd have to go on 38 and over.
Yeah. I mean, I prefer 38 myself.
Yeah, I think that's certainly, plans that we can.
I live in that neighborhood,
Hmm.
and I don't think a lot of, so does David. And they would come on Ridgewood for a little bit, but then they cut across the top And then I don't think that's gonna work. And the other parents, they're either gonna go down our street and cut over, or 13th Street and cut over.
This project would not happen this summer, it'd be the next summer. And I know the engineer firm is coming at the end of February. If you want to join us in that meeting to talk about different, different pathway, I'll invite you to that then.
Okay.
You're going to have your input.
So we need some additional conversation and discussion on this. Are we good to approve the grant application to move it forward, or do we want to hold on this?
I mean, just to clarify, the approval is for the grant application, not this exact picture. So just to clarify that.
Thank you. Good clarification.
Okay.
With that in mind, all those in favor of approving the grant application for the safe routes to school signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. The grant application permission stands approved, and thank you. And thank you for continuing discussions on this. It's it may be the one thing that 20 years from now people say, well, they got one thing done. Thank you.
And thank you too. Thanks.
Approval of the Minnesota State High School League application for cooperative sponsorship with Big Fork High School for speech. Dale?
Hello, thanks for having me tonight. A few weeks back, Heather Lovedahl, the activities director in Big Fork, approached me about the low numbers they had in speech and the feasibility of keeping it going. And she wanted to know if there was any way we could co-op with Grand Rapids like we do in a couple other sports. And so we spent some time looking at it. I talked to our speech coach and took a look at how that would look from a distance for both practices and meets. And she did some due diligence on her end, and I talked to the high school league, and I first made sure we had Mr. Gross's approval to move forward with looking at it. And since that time, we've completed this application here, have done the due diligence of making sure that the state high school league requires a couple things. One of those is approval of the majority of the schools in the section that we would compete in, and then also the approval of the region's secretary, in this case, Region 7 AA secretary. We've received all those. We would need approval of both school boards typically, and in this case, it's the same school board. It's an intra-district cooperation. And so I'm asking you this evening, on behalf of myself and Big Fork, to approve this, and available for questions if you have any.
So moved.
For cooperative sponsorship. Pat, thank you.
So moved.
And a second.
I'll second.
By Mindy. Questions, comments, thoughts?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Dale, thank you for working with Heather and Big Fork as well as the Grand Rapids speech coach down here to make this happen. I think it's a great thing. The more cooperative things we can do with Big Fork, whether us going to Big Fork or Big Fork coming to us down in Grand Rapids, I think it's a good thing for us all the way around as a district. So I appreciate the work that went into this, and I know they'll be happy up in Big Fork as well that they'll still be able to have speech going forward. So thank you.
Dale, can you give us any more specifics about how that's going to work with the distance involved?
Yeah, so Big Fork has had low numbers in speech the last few years. They had 2 last year, and my understanding is we don't even know if they will have any this year or not. There was at least one person interested. So we took a look, what this would allow, whether we have 0 or down the road, would have more, this would be ongoing, so it could happen now and could happen or in the future. And quite honestly, Grand Rapids has relatively low numbers. With COVID, as you can imagine, speech was one of those that was really difficult to compete in. And a lot of students lost interest during that time, and it's been slowly gaining steam coming back. In fact, we've more than doubled the number of students in Grand Rapids this year as we had last year. Speaking directly to kind of the particulars of how this would work, our coaches agreed to work on a Zoom basis or distance basis with them as far as practicing. A lot of the practice for speech was done on their own anyway, with tips occasionally from coach. And then there would be as far as transportation to meets, they have a meet just about every Saturday for about 3 months. So they would be picked up or come to Grand Rapids and then go to the meet wherever the meet is from there. But the main concern, I think we'll be okay on the transportation end. The main concern was the practicing, and I think everybody feels comfortable with where that is now.
Excellent. I credit you and appreciate the lengths you've gone to create a collaborative environment here to allow both schools to maintain a speech program. It's really important. Comments? Other comments? Hearing none, all in favor of the cooperative sponsorship with Big Fork for speech signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The cooperative sponsorship stands approved. Thank you. Dale, thank you for your work.
Thank you.
The 2024-2025 318 school calendar, which we've discussed earlier. Matt?
Yeah, it's called the 2024-2025 school calendar. I think it could probably be called the 50-50 school calendar, because 50% of I think people will like it and 50% won't, and that's backed by data. The teachers did a survey recently after our work session when we discussed it, and it came out right down the middle. Half liked the idea of coming back for January 2nd, 3rd. Half of them didn't. This is one of those years where when September 3rd fall, or when the day after Labor Day falls, really kind of creates this cascading impact. There are some things that we could do. All of them have consequences kind of down the line. So, for instance, coming back for the 2nd, 3rd of January pushes the close of school into June. And if we just did those two days back, students would have to report to school on Monday, June 2nd, and they'd be done with 1 day that week. That's not very useful either. We could add another day of school off in there. But again, there are consequences to that getting pushed around. This contract or this calendar is the exact same as the one that we had the last time, that the day after Labor Day was September 3rd. It's the same as Greenway and real close to the other IS schools. That's where we're at.
Okay.
So I'll recommend approval, and just maybe kick to the next one with the graduation dates. They kind of coincide or correspond with when school's over.
For purposes of discussion, can we get a motion to approve the calendar? So moved. Ben?
Second.
Second by Mindy. Conversation, questions, comments. Matt has noted that it's controversial.
You do it if you don't. So it is what it is.
Mr. Chair, I would take the opportunity. I mentioned this last Tuesday night at the community event. There were a lot of conversations about 4-day week.
Yes.
Leading up to that date, and even in the community feedback that I received, after that.
Yes.
I shared that night that the 4-day week currently is not being approved by the Department of Education. They're not approving new 4-day weeks. That's currently how it stands today. That could change during this session, but currently as it stands today, new school districts are not allowed to apply for 4-day weeks. And so I just wanted to take this opportunity to mention that again, so people could just note that as they're thinking about the calendar and our school district.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Maduri has raised his hand.
Pat?
Mr. Chair, Matt, I think I asked this last week when we were talking about the calendar. I'm going to ask it again in regards to our collaborative with Nashwauk. How does our calendar line up with them for the 24-25 school year? So that as we move forward in that collaborative, is there going to be any hurdles there if we're not mirrored alike?
Very, very closely. One of the challenges with IASC is that school districts have different numbers of days, ranging all the way from 180 days in the teacher contract to 183. Our priority is to align student days. This is very close to Nashwauk Uwans.
So it will give us that opportunity if it should arise to do that. Any collaboratives going forward. Okay, thank you.
Other questions or thoughts before we approve the calendar? We have before us the proposed ISD 3/18/24-25 school calendar. All those in favor of approving the calendar as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The calendar stands approved as presented. Thank you. And thanks to all the people who put so much time and effort into realizing this. We're looking then at the graduation dates for 2025. Matt?
These coincide or kind of fall in line once that calendar's done. Grand Rapids High School is typically Friday evening. Big Fork High School is the next day on Saturday. And so these would be the end of the final week of school.
Okay. Motion to approve these as graduation dates.
Motion.
From Mindy, second from
Second
from Pat. It's pretty straightforward. Any comments? Kind of reviewed where these came from and why. All those in favor of setting these as our graduation dates signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Graduation dates are set for May 30th in Grand Rapids and May 31st in Big Fork. We need school board representatives. Thank you. We need school board representatives. We need 2 school board representatives and an alternate for graduations in Grand Rapids on May 31st of 2024 and in Big Fork on June 1st of 2024. Our board chair has offered to take either of those from those present. Does anyone have any preferences? Ben or Mindy or Pat?
Mr. Chair, there's a good chance that I'm not going to be available as it sits today for either date, but you could put me down for an alternate if things change for me.
Okay, Pat will act as alternate.
I can do Grand Rapids.
And I've got Mindy in Grand Rapids.
Does Melissa have a daughter that graduates?
Yeah.
I believe that Melissa should be then, I think she would prefer to be, well, she's not here. We're going to appoint her. So Melissa and Mindy in Grand Rapids. I will travel to Big Fork, and Mark Schroeder will travel to Big Fork. And Pat is going to serve as backup. Then, second reading and approval of policy 416 on drug, alcohol, and cannabis testing. Matt?
Reviewed this at our last meeting with first reading. There's some changes in here relative to cannabis testing in the workplace, and that's documented in the policy. We do have a clearinghouse that we subscribe to check backgrounds on employees that are trying to become bus drivers, and so that's a part of this as well. And the policy committee reviewed this on January 4th, comes with their recommendation as well as mine.
We have a motion to approve policy 416.
So moved.
I have from Pat and a second from Ben.
Yep.
Questions, comments? It's been reviewed extensively by the policy committee and by staff members involved, by administration and so forth. Any other comments or questions, concerns? Hearing none, those in favor of approving policy 416 on drug, alcohol, and cannabis testing signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Policy 416 is approved. Thank you all. Then in partnerships, the Big Fork School Advisory Committee had its initial gathering last week and is established. We should have one standing board member, and I'm suggesting that we appoint Mark Schroeder, our chair, as the representative on that committee. He has experience and contacts in Big Fork and would be a valuable voice in that. With that, a motion from Pat and a second from Mindy. Questions, concerns, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Mark will learn not to skip any more meetings. Okay, board reports. Owen, can you?
Yeah. So what was it 2 weeks ago now? Yeah, 2 weeks. We had our winter homecoming and multiple events throughout the week, and then finished the week off on Saturday with Snowball, and that had 500 students, 10 through 12, all crammed into the little class at the community center. And student council pretty much organized the whole week, and it went very well. Pet Fest was probably the smoothest it's been all year. And then registration is starting at the high school in 8th grade for next year.
Okay.
So Jazz One, class at the high school, is performing at the Minnesota Music Educators Convention in Minneapolis and got nominated for that. And they just got back from performing at BSU's Jazz Fest, which is pretty cool. And then girls hockey won, I think it was Saturday. They beat Blaine 2-3, and they'll be playing Andover on Thursday, I believe, somewhere in Duluth, a neutral place, for section finals. And then Key Club's hosting a blood drive at the high school, which is open to everyone. If anyone wants to go save up to, I think it's 3 lives. So that's about it.
Owen, thank you.
Thank you.
Good report. Any questions or notes for Owen? Well done.
Thank you.
Board members, reports. Pat?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Right at the tail end of January, Mark Schroeder and I went up to Big Fork. Congressman Pete Stauber held a town hall meeting there. There was about 35, 40 people. We brought some concerns from 318 as well as school districts in general in regards to special education funding. We talked about the 40% that the federal government's supposed to be paying us, and in reality, in visiting with Kara, I think last year we only got 8% of the 40, and this coming year it's like 7.4% of the 40. So we stressed with him that we need the federal to do their part for our special education in that. He said he'd take it back and see what he could do and work on that. We had our reorganization meeting for RAMS in January. Superintendent Gross is a new board member on RAMS representing superintendents. I was reelected as chair again for this coming year going forward. And we had our legislative priorities, which are set, and we have legislative day coming up in March. I think it's the 12th, 13th down in the cities. Facilities meeting we had, Ben and I were there, and Mindy, I think things are going to be starting gearing up for the summer project up at the high school with that. And I just want to say, Matt and Carrie, you both did a great job on the community meeting in regards to the financial piece, talking about the district, where we're at in the budget and budget reductions. I heard a lot of comments, a couple of phone calls and some emails and texts from individuals that attended, as well as the number of people that saw it online. So I think it's a great start in connecting the community and understanding our financial situation. So again, thank you for the good job on that with it as well. Just want to shout out again, Grand Rapids Greenway hockey team. Owen mentioned it, and Coach Hajduk, they won the semifinal. They'll be going into the section final this Thursday to hopefully be successful and head to state. And I want to say congratulations to the Big Fork Huskies Math Masters. They took third place here in the district math contest. And then, as mentioned earlier, just want to say congratulations to Dan, Linda, Susan, and Lisa. That's 89 years of service to the district that's leaving when they retire. And again, when you're talking 89 years, it's hard to replace that. A lot of knowledge, institutional knowledge leaving, and thank them for the work that they did and the great job that they did serving students. That's all I had, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Pat, thank you. And thank you for your service on RAMS on our behalf.
Sure.
Mindy.
I just have a quick one. I was at facilities with Pat and Ben, and that you already summed that up. And the only other thing is the Rife Board. They are still looking to replace their executive director, and they're busy doing interviews right now. So I think they have about 4 in-person interviews. So they should be reaching a decision hopefully in the next few weeks.
Excellent. We'll look forward to that.
Yep, thank you.
Ben?
I'm good.
And I have nothing to report. Matt, as superintendent, what do you have for us?
Really busy season with the budget and the financial piece right now. That's primary. Again, we accelerated the timeline that we're trying to get through this, making it challenging for sure. Goal is to have our reductions identified by the end of the month, and then I think of March 11th is the board meeting that they'll be presented to you for a decision. Pat mentioned the community meeting. We had over 150 people attend either in person or online that night. We had, I think, over 30 in person. Many of the people I didn't know or recognize, so that was awesome. We've had hundreds of views. I think the number this morning was 200 views of the video posted to the YouTube. So people are seeing it, and I thought it was a great opportunity just to talk about our district, talk about school funding, how that works, and steps forward for education for our community. So good opportunity. Darren mentioned when he was here lobbying efforts. Pat mentioned that a lot of engagement there. We have our own 318 specific issues that we are advocating for. There's some slight tweaks that we need to make to the language that provided some funding for the Big Fork fitness facility, and then we also, with the mascot issue, looking for some clarity, funding, some kind of a change there, and then just some general funding requests, including special ed, like Pat mentioned. So I think that does it for me.
Excellent, thank you. And again, thank you for the very detailed and informative presentations on our budget situation. It's something that the community really needs to understand better. And any opportunity that we have to get the word out is important. Meeting announcements. We've got about 20 different meetings scheduled over the next month, and they're all included. They're posted with the agenda, and they're on the district website and the designated posting sites at ISD 318 Educational Service Center, which is here in this building. So that is all there. I won't read those. Any other business to come before the board tonight? Hearing none, is there any additional public input?
There are not.
Okay. Hearing none, we stand adjourned. Thank you. Okay.